Hello and welcome back to Gamer Ed Next. Ed here. Just to follow up on my last video, The Case of the Missing Dog Collar RPG Maker VX Ace. Just making a game. It's already finished now, so I was just going to walk you through some of the things I was working on. I already went over this part of it. I'm just going to go through other parts of it. So a lot of these are characters that I made throughout the town that you can interact with. It's pretty simple. You just make sure that you're in event mode. You have your events here. You click on any of them and right click, do your event. So I have my events in here. You just pick your character, your graphic, make sure priority is same, and put in some text. So a lot of this is just text. So next time or anytime I go through, I click on a character and talk to them, and then text pops up. A couple of them though I have in here, so you have a graphic or whatever, but I go through, and once I put it in there, if it's an important character, I went through and I decided to make sure that I have an actual face graphic, so that when you see him you're like, wow, that person has a face graphic, and some of the other ones don't, so you know that they're important. A lot of these are only one type of text, but if you go to some of the other houses, this one has a lady in here that you talk to. So you go in and you talk to her. She has a graphic, but she has a second one in here. To be able to trigger those at the very bottom when you finish all of your stuff. See, this one is just an event where you talk to her, some stuff happens. So the first time you talk to her, she's going to be the first one. So the very first time you meet her, she's going to have that. So I don't have a switch for that. But at the end of all this, oh yeah, I have this thing where you get an item and you pick an item. So I went through and I made one. So when you go to change items, I just make her give you this one item. So I guess you go in here, item, you increase it and you give it 1, and then you pick your item from a list of items that you had. So I gave it that very specific one. So you do a control switch, turns on these things. So I have one so that you have a control switch to where this certain character that you go to later on, the next person that you're supposed to go talk to, if you talk to them before, they say one thing. When you talk to them again later, if you have talked to her and gone through this event, then it'll trigger that character later on, which I'll show you in just a minute, to have completely different dialogue, which is kind of the same as this one, only it's all in the same box now because it's the same space. Is at the end when you talk to her, at the very end it says this event, which is this one. So I click this switch on this one that says when this is activated, which I click activate that switch, then it goes to this one, and that one is no longer available, and it will only be this dialogue. So like if you go to the next one, let's see, I have a village headman's house, which is the mayor, and you go talk to him. The first time you talk to him, he just says, hey, how's it going? But if you've talked to him, or talked to that other lady, by the time you get to him, he will now, this will be triggered, voter sticker on. It will do this dialogue, so that I have it set to where people will say certain things after they've been triggered. So like this one, once you get that, it triggers this, and then I have on here triggers another thing. So mayor done, and once that's triggered, it will go on to mayor done, which will have him say something else. But I also have mayor done here at the very command Z. Oh, okay, nothing changed. Once that happens, he switches off to something else. So control switch mayor done, and that goes to this one, but then that also goes to another one. So if you go over here to flower shop and you talk to this lady, again, she just has a regular talk, but red note shopping list, wrong one. What do I have? Mayor done. Oh man, I don't even remember now. flower shop, edit event. Is there anything I can help you? Let's see, red notes. Oh yeah, so you go over to the inn and you talk to her, and what will happen is she has a normal thing, but done talking. Is that the one I have? He should give you a warrant here. So if you are at the headmaster's house, at event, voting sticker go, mayor done. Voting sticker go, mayor done. Gives you a warrant. To go to the inn. At event, done talking, a lot says that once you're done doing something with the mayor, it triggers this thing that allows you to go in here and set off another event. Oh, no, that's with her. Welcome to the Holiday Inn. Oh, yeah, sorry. I was like, man, I know there was something. So there's this event. The mayor done. I have it set as a auto run. That's what it is. So when the mayor is done, I set up an auto run so that the second you walk into here and you go in here after mayor is done, so it's an auto run. It's actually really cool that you just walk in here and it will automatically start playing once you've done this event. So you don't always have it's a creative way, so you don't always have to like, oh, this thing happened, so you talk to this other person. You can also set auto runs after that to where things will automatically happen, which this one's actually pretty funny. And then after you have that one, this is Thief is Gone, which you'll see later on once I show it. I have the them talking, and I have a character in here, set move route. This guy or this character will move through as you're talking, so the other person doesn't have a wait time and they just go. So that actually was really frustrating to try to get through, because the character wouldn't move right and you have to work on timing, and that kinda is can get a little frustrating. But once you get up here, she gives you, or once you get done talking, she gives you the key, and you can go over here, and this is pretty cool. So you have just a normal door. Door's locked, nothing happens. But once the mayor's done talking, you've gone through that auto run. You set another thing here, the door. You give it a walking animation, and it'll play a sound as you touch it, and it will actually open up, and you set a move route for the event where the door opens up. And then once you get in there, you can come in here and you can read these notes. So I don't have anything, there's no condition, because you have to get through the door in the first place, so you can't get to it anyways. But once that happens, you can set another control switch and have something else happen. So this one, flower petal falls out, you read through the notes. It's another event where you just kind of get some backstory. This one, and then when you touch them again, it just changes what they say. But you have to make sure, the only thing I sometimes forget is each time you set your new event, you actually have to set the same graphic again, otherwise the graphic disappears. Then you go over to the flower shop, talk to the flower shop lady. Again, this is just, you have to make sure you do all the graphics again. It's just a lot of switches. My game is done with a lot of switches. You just say, hey, here's the list, and then that will set up a switch each time. So the normal one, hey, when you talk, you say, here's the switch. When you trigger that switch from before, like read the notes from before, that triggers this thing, which then you say, okay, trigger another control switch, which then you just add to the next one and say, okay, now this is what that event. So what happens is this event here actually disappears and says it's done and no longer is there anymore, which is why back before, when you have to try to make those people disappear, you just do a control switch and then make a graphic of nothing, and then that person will disappear off. So what you're doing is, that's actually a new character. You just replace it with the same character, and it looks like nothing has changed. Um, so at the end of this one, you get done, you say, oh, you got the shopping list, sets off a new one, and you go to the pub. Which I thought was, this one's pretty interesting. A lot of these things, I have characters in here that will say stuff, and edit event here, and if you take a look at this, I have a character graphic. This was, what are you looking for this time? And then later on, once you've talked to the mayor and you kind of get a clue as to who the bad guy might be, he goes, what do you talk about? I know who you, oh, never mind. This is kind of your shady place, and this is where people will talk and say stuff. This guy, if you talk to him, I have it set up to where if you talk to him really early, different characters will say stuff. So if you go back over and over and over and over to some of the locations, the characters will say stuff throughout the story that'll give you clues, just to reward people who actually go around and talk to different people. And if you go through and notice certain things like this, then you know, oh yeah, he's somebody that I want to go back to. Then he'll say stuff, hey, I saw somebody, and goes in through here. And then the final thing after, he tells you to go get your shopping list. You come in here and you talk to this guy, and beforehand he's just, what's up? And then it sets in place the final thing where this character goes through here, and you set up a couple different things where a character changes completely. So we already have these characters right here, and moves him around and changes him a little bit, and you'll see later on when I go to play the game. One of the things that I really struggled with in here as I was trying to make the game is I go up to game, no, tools, no, not character generator, scale, draw, mode, edit file, where was it? Resource manager, I think. No, that's not where it was. It's been a little bit since I actually went through this. Is it database? Yeah. When I went through, I picked a character, troops, and I had this one, which I created a character, and it was pretty good, but I really had no idea what I was doing when I was making this part. So what I did is I added a character. I went through and I made this guy up. So I went over to my enemies and I changed maximum, threw in a character. So here's my new green-haired man, and I had a drop item thing on here, so where it will drop stuff for you at the end of a battle so that you know exactly what you're going to get. And this is, I planned it out to where he would get some of the things back, and if you would have paid attention earlier on, you would have known about the gold ring. I set up a troop in here, which is basically just somebody that you battle. It's not going to be any random battles, and I start off a condition turn number 1. This is pretty cool. I messed up when I went to go make the enemy here. There's a lot of different things that I had him say or do as an action, which was not very good because it went too fast. I found that all the text went way too fast when you did stuff. But later on I found out that you can do conditions like turn number 1, turn number 2, turn number 3, turn number 4, where they say stuff as you're fighting them. And that worked a lot better, but I still haven't taken some of that other stuff out. But he says things, skill that the bad guy has. He says, never make me, but I found out that it'd be a lot better when you do one of these so that you can actually stop and read it instead of just having to go really fast. And I think I didn't have him do any attacks at all because I don't want him to damage you. I just want him to threaten you for story's sake. So this was really good for that. So if you could do maybe repeats or something like that, copy a event page and just keep copying over and over and over and go through a cycle if you want characters to say stuff, which I thought was actually pretty interesting. So each time you go to attack, he says stuff, and I set him for very high HP here, because what I really want to do is when your character goes to attack, so if you have your actor here, I have him, I have a skill in here, so I name my character, his nickname, and made a class or whatever, initial level 1, I don't really matter, all that stuff doesn't really matter at all. I started with the baton. I was going to have him be able to buy a weapon later on with the money that you get. But I was having trouble getting it to be able to equip it, so I just started off with the baton for now to like make another game, and I have a skill, which basically these skills do nothing at all. I just wanted to have a story driven. If you wanted to pick like, hey, you're done, give it back, give up, to where he would be able to just talk to people. So I thought that would be pretty interesting to try to talk him down before you attack him. And his regular attack should be so weak that nothing really happens, and doesn't do enough. So until you use the baton, because you're private eye, so you whack people with it, finally does the amount of damage that you need. And then at the very, very end, I have an autoplay. So after you get through all of that, if you go back to your own house, house A, B, C, village house. There it goes, village house B. Like I had this event was the, is that it? Or was this it? Edit event. That was my original event, I think. Game intro, where I move everybody around. Okay, so this is my second event. My second event, play sound effect, move, transfer player. Okay, so when I finish, okay, at the end of the pub scene, okay, edit event, I think here, so what I have is a control switch, control switches, ring scene, stuff happens, you move them around, says I'm taking with you, then you have a battle process here. And that's what happens when I fight my green hair guy, who I've been looking for this whole time. Fight him. At the end he says, he says I give in, you say let's go. A control switch battle over, changes it and transfers you to this. So this will start my autoplay later. So I have this whole transfer player. So after you beat him and he does his stuff, he actually makes you go to another location, and that's what takes you back to house B, where it should be. I thought this is where, okay, this is where it transfers you to, and event, okay, that's start game. Oh, where did I have that event? It's supposed to transfer you. No. Edit event. Transfer player. Moves you to there. I should have an autoplay in here. And it's been a while since I've done this. Oh yeah. Okay. That's my beginning. That's why I'm all screwed up. So this is my initial one where everything gets started. Nope. Edit event. Okay, this is what happens. So after the game is over, what I did is I had my initial thing here where it sets it up and everything goes, but I want the ending to transfer me back here, so I want to do an autoplay. So what I did is I recreated this exact thing again. I duplicated this entire layout and I started a new one here, so that when everything goes, edit event here, it's a brand new thing to where I can not have to deal with all the stuff that I already had previously. So I set up a brand new thing to where when I transfer it, it ends the game, and I can set up a new auto run, so that the second I poof show up in here, it auto runs me. And what happens is I transfer myself back, and it puts me back up here, which will have a transfer spot that I picked from the previous thing. So let's see, when in here, when you're at the pub, okay, so edit event, when you get down to the bottle, it says transfer player. You edit, it says, hey, here's where it transfers you to, and it goes, oh, okay, so it puts me right there. And now this whole new scene is set up. I'm put right there, and the rest of the scene goes, and people talk, moves the characters out of the way, plays sound effect as they leave, and this new person comes in, and then I think a screen fades to black after they talk, and it returns. There's go fade out screen. I have just some quotes here that show up on there. It waits a little bit, and you beat the game, and it returns you to the title screen, and you can continue from your last save point or do whatever else. So, but that's my game. That's the kind of the behind the scenes, how I made it. Some of the big main things. I'm trying to think if there's anything else in here. I think if you're in the main town, I got some weird stuff that I never thought you could actually use. Like these are actually events here where the smoke moves. And what you do is you just do a walking or stepping animation in here with one of these type of graphics. So you pick from a tile set of those walking animation, and it puts it up there. Another problem I had was I tried to put one of these, which is a just a signpost, and I tried to actually just draw it in there with a in the map editor, but I found out you couldn't interact with it. So to interact with it, I made it actually an event with that graphic, and that allowed you to talk with it. If you make it same as characters, it'll allow you to interact with it. With these butterflies, I wanted to be able to walk past them without them getting in your way. So what I did is I actually set a priority above characters and actually look like they were flying around you. Options, you can go through it. That way you don't bump it. So you go through it, have it above, and you can actually make things fly above you. So that's my game. Next video I'll kind of do a playthrough of it so you guys can see that. If you like this, if you want to, if you have any questions for me about how specific things, how I made certain parts of it, how each of those worked, I'll have that in my next video of the actual playthrough of the whole thing, so you can see, oh hey, oh that's what that looked like, oh that's how that worked. You can just put any comments in below, or if you have any questions about, hey, what would you mean by that, just let me know. And if you like it, hit thumbs up. If you didn't like it, thumbs down. Subscribe if you want to see more of my stuff, and just have fun, enjoy, make your own game. Alright, later.